I guess this looks good. I don't know. It's very unique. I've never made something like this before. Hi, I'm Alexis deBoschnek, and today I'm going to make a retro recipe from a 1950s edition of Better Homes and Gardens cookbook. After that, I'm going to make a modern take of the same recipe. Then I'll try both of them and see which recipe excites me more. Today I'm going to try something. It's an iceberg ring with tuna salad in the middle. I have no words. This is like by far one of the weirdest things I've ever had to make, but I think it might look cool. I don't have a ton of experience with Jello. The last time I made it, I was 22 and I made Jello shots for a holiday party, so. Using lime Jello for this, which, wow, it smells really, really strong. It kind of smells like a cleaning product. Gotta add a little salt, crucial to this, and 2 cups of boiling water. Woo, look at that! Wow, the color is just really intense here. Okay, so then the recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of vinegar and cold water. The salt and vinegar in the Jello is curious. I'm like, is that to make it more like salad-like? This is wild. The recipe calls for chilling it, but I think I can just let it kind of cool down next to me. So not only is this recipe about Jello, but you have to put scallions and iceberg lettuce into the Jello. I will say I did a bit of research, and I found out that in the 50s, like, people are starting to get refrigerators. It's kind of like a status symbol. So if you had like a Jello mold, it would be like you were of a certain status because you could afford refrigeration. Inversely, Jello was also popular because it was a great way to use up canned ingredients. You could use whatever leftovers you had in the house. So it's kind of interesting that it's like this high-low take. The iceberg lettuce and the scallions need to go in the Jello. I think it's cool enough. I think the idea of chilling it, letting it cool down, is just so that the lettuce doesn't kind of wilt in the mixture. The idea of like wilted lettuce in Jello is even worse than just like lettuce and Jello baseline. This just feels so wrong. When I think of Jello, I'd think of like something sweet. So I think maybe if there was like a sweet filling in this, perhaps I would feel differently. I guess this looks good. I don't know. Pour the mixture into the Jello mold. Okay. Oh. Okay, well, step 1 is done. I'm just gonna chill this in the refrigerator and move on to the tuna salad. So the next part of this recipe is tuna salad. There's so many ways to make it, and this feels pretty basic. While so many of the recipes in here are kind of vague, this actually gives specific measurements, which feels like a win. This is so easy. This part of the recipe is a dream. And then just add the cucumber. I like that little cucumber addition, a little crunch in there, that's cute. Okay, tuna done. My Jello is set. Wow. Okay, I have never unmolded a Jello. I did read that you can kind of like put it in hot water, warm water, to kind of loosen it up. While I do think these little like scallops are really cute on the edge, I wonder if that's gonna make it harder. I don't want to get the Jello like hot, so this might be enough time. Another tip I read about is that if you actually wet the mold surface, you can like have a little more flexibility in pushing it around. You know, so it doesn't like act like a suction, like an octopus, like tentacle. This is the moment of truth. Is it unmolded? Okay, hold on, the pink, okay, reframe. The pink part comes out. I'm speechless. Okay, wow. My Jello has like a real jiggle. The photo actually doesn't give it justice. Like, this color is so crazy intense. This is really a bizarre experience. And to make it really look like the photo, I just have to fill it with tuna? I never thought I'd be doing this. I will say the little flecks of cucumber is nice. It really picks up on the color of the Jello. I mean, it's identical. Seeing my iceberg ring come together like this and match the photo, I actually feel more excited about it. It's very unique. I've never made something like this before, and it really does feel like a science experiment. Now I'm gonna make my own version of this and try both and see what I think. I'm actually really excited for my version of the iceberg ring. I'm gonna make a tuna salad and have some greens, have some dressing, but it's just gonna be a little more contemporary. For my tuna, I'm actually gonna make olive oil poached tuna, which is really easy to do. If you have some time on your hands, this is like a better alternative to canned stuff. First, you just wanna salt the tuna. Salting the tuna before just ensures that the salt is really going to flavor the tuna. Then onto the oil part. I'm using about 3 cups of olive oil. I know that seems like a lot of olive oil, but you can actually reuse the olive oil for other preparations. There might be some fishiness to it, but if you're not picky, this is a really good way to reuse it. And you can just add whatever aromatics you want. I'm gonna do a bay leaf, some crushed garlic, jalapeno. So I'm gonna poach the tuna in the olive oil, which is basically the same method as confit, which is a French technique where you cook something slowly in fat. In this case, tuna and olive oil. So I'm gonna add some peppercorns. Can just leave them whole, and peel of lemon. You could also totally do this with coriander seeds, red chilies, cilantro, and parsley stems. Just anything that's gonna like really add flavor. Oops. It's also a really good way to use up what you have, you know, in your fridge. Because I have all these aromatics, I wanna let the oil really infuse and get this like great flavor to it. So I'm just gonna set it over low heat. Should take 15 minutes or so. Okay, I think my oil is ready to go. Let's just double check. Perfect. Just slip the tuna right in. And I'm gonna let it cook for 7 to 10 minutes. I want it to be really pink inside. If you want it more done, keep cooking it, but no one really wants like weird dry tuna. But in the meantime, I can start my dressing. I've got mayo, sour cream for a bit of tang, a little bit of Jello powder to pay homage to the recipe before me. I made sure that it was lime flavored Jello powder. We're coming back to the dressing, tuna time. Okay, moment of truth. It should be, like this side looks good, but it's still a little pink. Ooh, although actually, no, I think it might be good. Before breaking the tuna up, you really want to let it come to room temperature. It's just been sitting in hot oil, so you don't want to burn yourself. Back to the dressing. I'm gonna add a clove of garlic, grated. What I've noticed about all these 50s recipes is garlic was used pretty sparingly. I feel like today everyone's using garlic all the time. I'm also gonna add the zest of 2 limes. It's just playing on the lime flavor from the Jello. And then the juice of 2 limes. Add some acidity. I swear that color is going to dissolve. And then I've got some smoked paprika and some salt and pepper. Similar to the other recipe, I'm gonna use some scallions and a cucumber, but rather than, you know, incorporate it in the mixture, I'm gonna kind of use it on top as decoration. And I think whenever I'm making a salad, I try to think about balancing something fatty and acidic and adding some crunch. Okay, assembly time. The iceberg ring obviously used iceberg lettuce. I'm gonna use romaine, and I wanna use these like kind of long, pretty romaine leaves and leave them whole. Now we've got the tuna. If I've done my job right, it should be pink inside. Beautiful. And I want to keep it in these kind of like pretty hunks. I think that's also the appeal of using a tuna steak. You know, in addition to flavor, I also want things to look aesthetically pleasing. So I just like to kind of like layer each component, and I'll probably actually save a few of these pieces of tuna to put on top. I want the dressing to kind of coat some of the salad, but not like drench it. I don't know if you've heard the term hand salad, but I feel like it's become pretty popular in the last few years. And a hand salad is basically salad you can eat with your hands. This is a hand salad. You could just take a piece of romaine and eat the whole thing. I'm just gonna add the cucumber. And again, you know, similar to the iceberg ring, I really liked how there was these pops of color, so I'm gonna do the same. Then some of the green onions over top. I will say, I feel so excited about this salad. Like, yes, I would make this at home, but I'm like, damn, this looks really impressive. But I'm intrigued about the iceberg ring. I'm gonna try both and see what happens. I really love the contrast between these two salads. It feels like they're totally in the same vein, But you know, obviously there's some pretty big differences here. I'm actually pretty psyched about the iceberg ring, so I'm gonna try that first. I've never really cut into a Jello mold before. Maybe you scoop the Jello and then get a scoop of the tuna. That feels right. Because of the iceberg lettuce, you really have to jiggle it through. This is pretty loose Jello. Oh. And some tuna. I feel like the whole point of this is the Jello, so I think I have to maybe get a bite with both tuna and Jello together. Oh, wow. That was a real adventure in my mouth. I didn't anticipate for the Jello to be so sweet with the tuna. This was definitely an inventive combination. I actually didn't notice the iceberg in it at all. Like, that flavor just totally disappears. But the sweetness of the Jello is really pretty overpowering. Maybe if I try the components separately, it'll be a more pleasurable experience. The tuna is good. Yes, love the tuna. The Jello by itself is actually a lot better than mixed with the tuna. The iceberg lettuce and the scallions actually add some like really nice crunch to the Jello without kind of like overpowering the flavor. I think just the contrast of them together to me feels pretty off-putting. But maybe if you're into like really sweet things, this might be more up your alley. I'm gonna try my version now. I feel a sense of relief, honestly, eating this. I'm like, okay, these are the flavors we're more familiar with. This is balanced, there's brightness, there's acidity, there's saltiness. My palate agrees with this more. I have to say the tuna in this is like so good. It really is worth taking a little extra time if you have it. All in all, I think this was really fun. While I am gonna choose my own to eat again, the Jello was so fun to make. I think for me, the consistency of this, while I do like looser Jello, this felt like really loose. And I think the contrast between the super sweet Jello and then the tuna just felt kind of weird. If I was gonna make this again, I think I'd do an all sweet Jello, maybe with fruit inside, maybe there's whipped cream, something like that. I think we can pay homage to the 50s, say thank you for your service, and take it to 2022 in a more inventive way. Let me know in the comments if you've ever made anything with Jello and what kind of flavor combination you think would be good. I'd love to hear.